This Samsung Galaxy A55 is a promise of a phone with sleek design, a premium build, brilliant display, and amazing battery life, all at a price point that doesn't break the bank. And after using this Galaxy A55 for the past few months, does it actually live up to the promise? And is the Galaxy A55 worth considering for you? Let's find out. But first, hi, I'm Captain Awesome. This is Geekception, and I'll really appreciate if you hit the like button and subscribe, as that really helps me out here on the channel. Membership options are also available. Okay, first, let's start with build quality. And I would say I really like the lilac color that the phone comes in here, as well as some of the other color options that are available for this phone as well. I like how light this phone feels in the hand. It does not feel very heavy at all. And compared to something like, let's say, the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra right here, this phone definitely feels so much lighter. It feels so much nicer in the hand to actually use, and I think some of it is because of the curves at the edge here, which makes it very, very super comfortable to hold. So for example, if I put my hand on it like that, it doesn't dig into my hand, and it just feels more comfortable using this phone in the long term. And I'm very particular about sides of phones because if it's glossy, then it's very icky when I use it in everyday. And I'm very glad to say that on the side here we have this aluminum frame that is not glossy at all, which feels just so good to the touch. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a fan of glossy backs or just glass backs in general, but the one here manages to look nice without actually being too annoying when it comes to the fingerprints. And I would say the coating that they use, and of course this is also Gorilla Glass to pair with the Gorilla Glass Victus up front here. I think this is just standard Gorilla Glass on the back, and yeah, it doesn't feel like it's fragile, and it doesn't really attract a lot of fingerprints, which I especially like. Overall, I'll say when it comes to build quality right here, the A55 did not disappoint me at all. Next, let's talk display. And the display here on the A55 is that Super AMOLED screen, and when I watch all the content here on this device, I would say it's very vivid, it's very clear. I did not wish that there was anything lacking. I think using all these premium devices that I have, I did not notice any difference here watching and consuming art on the A55 display. And if you think because this is not a premium line that you'll be losing features, well, not so much, because here on the display as well, you have HDR, which is what I'm actually watching right now on YouTube. So you're able to get very nice HDR videos and watch them in all of their saturated glory, which is just pleasant to have on a series device right here. And for a quick tip here on that display in the settings right here, I made sure that I turned on motion smoothness to adaptive, so you get that full refresh rate that is supported here, up to 120 Hertz, surprisingly, which is a good thing here on the A55 5G. And also for the screen mode, I selected vivid, which means that I'm going to get the most vivid colors here out of this phone. As with almost all the latest phones these days, there is an in-display fingerprint scanner, and I would say that it's fast enough. I did not really notice any slowness with this in-display fingerprint scanner. The only comment I have is let's say compared to something like my S24 Ultra right here, the in-display scanning there is much lower. So here on the S24 Ultra, I'm used to just placing my fingers almost near there and I can unlock it, but here on the A55 it's actually much lower, so I found it very difficult to actually adjust to this when I first switched to this phone. But yes, that's something to take into account. Speed wise though, like I said, it's pretty fast, and I rarely ever had times where this did not work even when my finger was wet. So when it comes to the in-display fingerprint scanner, good job, Samsung. Next, let's talk battery. And the battery here on the A55 is 5000 milliampere, which means that when I use this, I mostly got 2 days easily of battery life. So battery life here was not a problem. And as for fast charging, it supports up to 25-watt fast charging, which I'll be honest, Samsung is no longer good enough. And I'll give you an example. So I wanted to take some shots at night with this phone yesterday night, so I can be able to show you some of the photos here when I get to the camera section. And I brought out the phone from where I usually keep it. I wanted to turn it on. I found out that the battery was dead. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to charge it, right? And for some other phones that have 90-watt fast charging or whatever, you can get I think up to 50% in 10 minutes or something like that. That would have been really helpful if I had that here on the A55. But because I did not have that on the A55, I had to plug it in, I had to wait, and by the time it was done charging, I couldn't go out any longer. So yeah, that's just one of the real life examples that I have. And it's not just limited to the A55. I also have that same problem with my S24 Ultra right here, which is that I just wish that it supported faster charging. Now, I don't charge at 90 watts all the time. Like let's say on my, Xiaomi phones that supported like the 14 Ultra or the 14. Of course, I don't do fast charging all the time, but in that time where I need it, where I'm in a rush, I would really have wished for there to be fast charging here, not just on the A55, which is what I'm, reviewing right now in this video, but on Samsung's other phones as well, because, it's not something you need all the time, but when you need it, it's something you absolutely need at that moment. And I just really wish I had it. But when it comes to the battery life though, no complaints here on the A55. Good 2-day battery life, and even right now you can see it's showing me like 3 days 15 hours left. So yes, sometimes I've even gotten like 3 days of just moderate use of this phone with battery. So battery life here is great on this phone. Okay, next let's go to the camera, which is usually one of my favorite things to talk about. Now you've got 3 cameras here. You've got this 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, you've got a 50 megapixel main camera, and you've got a 5 megapixel macro camera, which I'll be honest with you, there is no use for us to still have macro cameras on our phones, or at least a dedicated macro. It's marketing bullshit, and I wish that we got better, maybe ultra wide camera or a telephoto compared to like just putting a camera there for a third camera sake. Going to the front of the phone here, and you get a 32 megapixel front facing selfie camera. Now this A55 does not have many flaws, but the camera I would definitely say is one of the not so many flaws that this phone has, and you will understand why, especially if you're seeing the camera samples that I'm putting on screen right now. And to be honest, it's not bad, it's not horrible, right? It's just that it's maybe 60-70% of the way there, and sometimes I just wish it had that 40-30% more to be able to get better photos out of it. And yeah, it is definitely a mid-range phone, but I also know other brands that have mid-range phones that have like really wonderful cameras. So I would say for the price here, I would have expected a slightly better camera here on the A55. Now going on to video, and when you're in the video mode right here, you can actually shoot in UHD, which is 4K at up to 30 frames per second. Sadly, you do not get 60 frames per second with 4K on this phone. To be able to shoot 60 frames per second, you have to drop all the way to full HD, which is a bummer, especially because it will have been nice to shoot 60 frames here. But the nice thing is that the 30 frames per second 4K video is supported on the 2 cameras, which is the 1.5x camera right here, and also the 1x camera as well. And interestingly, there's a 2x camera mode, but it is just a crop of that 50 megapixel main camera right there. So don't be fooled into thinking there's another camera. It's just a crop of the main camera. Okay, and speaking of crop, when we go to the front camera here on the A55, in photo mode it has no crop, but the moment we switch into video mode, it definitely crops in the video a whole lot. Let me bring this to a 16:9. Let me bring this to a 1:1 so you can just see what I mean. So it crops the video by a whole lot, and yeah, it's just you now have to hold your phone even farther if you want to get like everybody in the shot, which is not ideal at all. So this is definitely something that I do not like when it comes to the front video mode. The photo mode I think is fine, it's just the video mode. And this is a front camera video test where I'm just walking, and because it's so zoomed in, so if I'm just holding it to my face like this, it's like really unflattering. I have to like really pull my hand all the way to the front to be able to actually get it to look a bit decent. So yeah, I do not like that crop at all. Going back to the camera interface here, and if we're going into more, we can see that most of the settings that you find in even high-end devices such as Pro Video, Hyperlapse, they're all present here on the A55. Though they do have some caveats that you have to be aware of, such as if you select, let's say, Pro mode, for example, in other, let's say, more professional phones like the S24 Ultra. Ooh, that almost fell down. Like the S24 Ultra right here. So if I go into the Pro mode, we can just compare how it looks like, and you can see that one of the main differences here is that you do not get raw video. So here on the, A55, it is still a mid-range device, and, definitely you don't get all the features like, raw video. So you do get a pro mode, but you do not get advanced features in the pro mode. So that's something to take into account in case you were wondering, or you are someone who likes taking like raw photos on your phone. And wrapping up the camera here, another thing to be careful of is, if you go into portrait mode, you only have one camera, which is your main camera, that is selectable in the portrait mode, because again, that's the only, high resolution 50 megapixel camera you're getting. So you do not get, because you don't have a telephoto camera, so you don't get a 2x mode right here. So, if you like, that telephoto look, which is just like a, proper camera, then you don't get that here on the A55. Galaxy AI, but not for the A series, sadly, because you do not get that. Yes, you do get it on this, which is, the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. You get it on the S23 series as well, and the FE as well, and also the Z Flip series as well, and the Z Fold and all that. But you do not get it here on the A55 5G, or do you? Of course, going through all the phones here, and yeah, you do not, which is a bummer, because, I definitely use, the circle to search, which is one of my most used features here on Galaxy AI, where, I'll just tap that and I'll tap translate for it to translate all of my text on screen. I use that almost every day. So it's a bummer that we do not get, Galaxy AI here on the A55. And again, it's in Samsung's mid-range line. I understand, it's, their budget device. Well, it's still expensive, but it's in their budget device. And also maybe it does not have, the processing power to be able to do some of the Galaxy AI features. But that is not the full story, because if we go into the settings, not the settings, the gallery right here, and you actually get some AI features, which are not as, loud as Galaxy AI on the S20 series, but you do get them. So for example, let's say we have this photo right here. I'm just going to quickly zoom in on my camera right here. And let's say we have this photo, right? If you tap on the eye icon right there at the bottom, you actually get that, which is a pop-up to be able to give you a way to, do things that are exclusive, or I thought they were exclusive to Galaxy AI, but you actually have them here on the gallery on the A55. So let's say if we tap on the background effect, you can be able to change the blur of this photo right here. And let's say I tap there, you see we can be able to give this photo an artificial blur. Let's go to another photo and see what it gives us, or what suggestions it gives. So let's say I go to this photo. This is not a portrait mode. I think let's go to this, which is just a selfie photo that I took. We look for that icon at the bottom there. I tap on it there, and it will give me some options on the screen, which is a background blur. If I tap on the background blur right here, it will, as you can see, it's the same animation as on the Galaxy AI devices. And boom, now we have portrait mode right there. It has been able to, make out a photo that was not originally portrait mode. I turned it into portrait mode. So yes, you do get these features in the gallery app specifically. No, you do not get, all the wonderful other, Galaxy AI features, but it's nice that at least this is present here, especially in the gallery app, which is one that you will use every single day, unlike some of the other Galaxy AI features, which you might not be using every day anyway. Okay, next, let's talk performance. And the A55 right here is powered by an Exynos 1480 paired with 6 gigabytes of RAM, which is what I have in my hand right here. And performance here is a bit tricky because, in everyday use, I would say that, most of the time performance is good enough. But I do notice stutters here and there. So for example, I'm not sure if I can get this on camera. Sometimes when I want to go into this, which is the Google Now, widget on the home screen, or if I want to switch between different apps, sometimes I do get a little bit of lag or a micro stutter there. And this happens way more often that I have to mention it because, I'd say for most of the times when I use the phone, performance is good. It's okay. I'm not a gamer, so I cannot tell you about games I'm playing on my phone right here. But I would say in everyday use, for example, let's say scrolling on, Twitter, for example, it manages to keep up well. It has that 120 refresh rate. So, it actually feels not, it's not just that the performance is okay, it actually feels smooth as well, which is something that I like. But, just here and there in the interface, I'm switching an app, opening up an app, or I'm, doing something in the interface, it just stutters for a little bit. And that's something I noticed throughout the time that I used it. And, of course, it's easy for me to use all of this really nice, let's say the S24 Ultra right here. And, this never lags, this never has any complaints. And, even booting up the A55 right here takes so long. And I remember there was a time where I was updating my S24 Ultra and I was, booting up the A55 and the S24 Ultra, I downloaded the update, I installed the update and rebooted while this was still booting up. So yeah, sometimes, the boot up takes a while, but that's not something I do in every day anyway. But it just goes to show that this here is not a performance king and you should adjust your expectations accordingly. Knox, or security. And this part is, I did not understand the marketing with this phone because Samsung really emphasized Knox security for the Galaxy A55. And many of the things they talked about, like, them protecting your information, them having, secure stuff in your phone. I would assume those are the things that come standard by all devices, right? Well, perhaps not, because, we all know some, manufacturers that, look at everything you do on your phone, some that serve you ads in your interface, some that, perhaps even sell your data and you don't even know. So I'll say Knox here for me is like having a good security system. Like, you never know that your security system is bad until you need to fix it. So most of the time I use the phone here, I did not notice anything with Knox, which I think is how it's supposed to work anyway. And even more important than that, I think the nice thing with the A55 series, not series, the A55 phone right here is that you get 4 years of Android generation updates, which means that you're going to get at least 4 Android updates and 5 years of security updates. I think this is even much more of a big deal than Knox, for example, because, most people I know are using their phone for at least 3 years on average. And if you're using an Android phone, especially one that is cheaper, you're not guaranteed updates. In fact, some of them, they don't update them after 1 year. So I would say for the security and safety of everybody, having at least, that 5 years of security updates and even 4 years of Android update is a much bigger deal, which I think, yes, this phone is more pricey than other mid-range phones, especially in this category, but you do get what you pay for, which is at least 4 years down the line with this phone, you will still be getting updates compared to maybe other cheaper phones that, 4 years down the line, you don't get updates. And, with this, I even tried the, secure folder, which Knox, Samsung, has this military certified system here. So yeah, I would say when it comes to just the security on this phone, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Which now brings us to the most important part of this video, which is the Galaxy A55 worth it, especially for you? Like, is this a phone you should be seriously considering? And I would say absolutely yes. When we look at, let's say, the build quality, for a phone in this price category, the build quality here is really, really decent. I surprisingly, I found myself using this way more than my S24 Ultra, which is something that I would not be saying, or I did not think I would be saying at all, because the build is so nice. It's so light as well. So even when you use your phone, for a long period of time, it's very comfortable to use. Unlike some of the other Exynos powered phones that I've tried in the past, this does not get hot to the touch at all. So it's, sometimes, I live in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So yes, using it under DirectX Online, it definitely, gets warm to the touch. But, that scorching hot that you need to like take a time out with the phone, I never experienced it with this phone. Performance was, it's definitely not S24 Ultra level smooth, but for what it is, I, did not really find that there was anything that really stuck out to me in the long run when I used this phone. So performance was also okay. Camera, I would say, is the only other thing that I really wish was better, because I take a lot of photos on my phones. And yes, I did, try as much as possible to be able to work within the constraints of what we have here on the A55. But yes, I really do wish maybe that's the only part, the camera was a bit better. But, battery life wise, while I'm going to charge my S24 Ultra, even though that phone also has a big battery, but this one just goes on and on. I was able to get 2 days minimum most of the time when I use this phone. So yeah, when it comes to battery life, I would say this is a performance champ, nothing to worry about. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video where I'll be wrapping up this A55. I would say this phone was surprising. I used the A54 last year and that phone was great, but definitely there are things that I did not like about it. This one just feels like a more refined phone. It feels more premium. It feels like it's an overall complete package compared to any of the other A series phones that I've tried in the past. Now it's your turn. Let me know what you think about the A55. Is this a phone you're considering? Is this a phone you've bought and you're just watching a review to see what I think about your new device? Which congratulations if you did that. Let me know in the comments, definitely, because I know many people watch videos after they've bought the device. So let me know if that's what you're doing here as well. But let me know what you think about the A55. Do you have any other alternatives that you suggest for this phone? Please let me know down there as well. Huge shout out for you for making it all the way to the end of this video. I really love using a phone and really using it before I then come out with my review, which is why this has taken long, but I would have it no other way. So I hope you enjoyed this approach to me making this video. And yes, that has pretty much been the end of this yap session. I hope you enjoyed it. Text me when you get home so I know you got home safe. And until the next time, I am your captain of awesome. This is Geekception, and I'll catch you next time. Don't forget to be awesome. Bye.